Very early on, I understood that being a good coach, a passionate coach, someone who wants to help people is nowhere near enough. I have worked with a fair share of losers, and what I mean by that is this has nothing to do with income, this is to do with mentality.
What makes you worth it? What exactly are people paying for when they work with you?
The same thing that would get me in hot water, so to speak, on social media every now and again is the very fucking thing that is very valuable for my clients. I'm the type of person who will tell you when you have fucking food between your teeth, I don't care who you are. I'll be like, Romans, you have that, you know? Anyway, my coaching style is nothing but the extension of my personality.
The clients they worked with so far, whether it's billionaires or high caliber, what's one pattern that makes them quote-unquote successful that maybe most people need to become aware of to make that transition?
It's only as much you can do yourself. You want to build a fucking team. No success of any significance has ever been built, when you think about it, by a single person. If you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room, right? But I really take this one seriously. I do not want to be the smartest person in any fucking room. Yes, I am a passionate person in general. I might be Italian trapped in a Polish body. They think that they're gonna hurt my feelings. They're gonna they're gonna show me, right? They're gonna affect my mood. And I'm literally reading this and I'm fucking smiling. Is coaching a requirement to be successful? Of course you can get there by yourself. Did Henry Ford have a fucking life coach? Would he get to where he got to faster had he had a performance coach? Absolutely. Don't try to fucking be the person who says, I'm smart enough to do it myself. It's a rookie mistake. That's not how you get to the top.
What does it take to go from zero connections, zero money, and barely speaking the language to coaching billionaires, Saudi royalty, and CEOs of FTSE-listed companies and charging more than most people make in a year? Today, I sit down with the man who changed the way how I think about ambition and self-worth, Michael Serwa. Welcome.
Romans, thank you for having me. It's been quite a journey, and it certainly wasn't an overnight success. I don't believe in such thing. If you were to look at where I was at 17, dropping out of high school, I don't think many people would predict that I would end up where I ended up. I am not surprised because I knew that even though traditional education wasn't for me, I certainly didn't feel like I will be a failure in life. I had no idea that I'm going to end up coaching people. I didn't know what coaching was at 17. I didn't know what personal development was. But I definitely already at around 16, 17, 18 knew that I'm different in a way I think, different in a way I approach things, different in terms of work ethic, different in terms of people skills. And sure enough, when I found my calling at the age of 28, the calling being obviously life coaching, I very quickly recognized that I will have a serious shot at it because I'll be able to play to my strengths and my weaknesses will not get in the way of me becoming successful.
I remember when we met for the first time, and I still like telling this story to some of my friends because for me personally, it was I would say a profound moment because at a time when you don't have anything, you're new to the country, you are a full-fledged East European immigrant. And
straight from the boat. Yeah, straight from the boat. I was at 22, yeah.
Obviously, your perception of everything around you is very sensitive. Pretty much every conversation, a meeting can change the way you think, the way you approach life. And I was very ultra sensitive to things that were going on around me at a time. And I did message, I don't remember how many, but maybe around 20 entrepreneurs, coaches in London. And you're the only one who responded. And you invited me to have a coffee. And I didn't have any expectations, but when I went to Mayfair, and at the time I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know London whatsoever. For me, it was wow. It was a different universe, especially when you invited me to your apartment, to the penthouse. For me, it was like an entrance to a new level of life, right? For me, that was, it wasn't just impressive. It was like, wow, I've made it. I've made somewhere. So for me, that was that moment. And I don't remember what we specifically talked about, but I do remember that, from then on, we started developing our relationship and I became your mentee. And, from then on, things changed. So thank you very much for this. It's been been life-changing, honestly, without any exaggeration. So yeah, since then, it's been a journey for both you and me. But then, I also I was at the time I was very much I wouldn't say fascinated, but I couldn't figure out how the hell you charge so much money. Even at the time, right? I know that since then your fees increased as well, but you charge more than most therapists, if not. It's a given in the UK you are the highest paying life coach. What makes you worth it? What exactly are people paying for when they work with you?
Sure. So when I first started back in 2011, I was charging £20 per session. My first 20 clients were paying £20 per session, even though I had a very clear understanding that this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. And this is something I want to dedicate my life to completely. That didn't change the fact that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, right? Because yesterday I'm a fashion retail manager and then today I'm a coach, right? Because I decided to become a coach. How on earth could I justify charging people more for something I didn't know how to do, right? I knew that I had it in me to learn and to progress over time. But to begin with, I felt like I was very much experimenting on my first clients, right? So I felt that £20 per session was a fair amount of money that I could ask of someone relative to the amount of knowledge and experience I had at the time, right? So how I went from £20 per session to what I charge now, it certainly wasn't a case of from £20 per session to what I charge now. It was very graduate. My fees would go up over the last 13 and a half years. And what was the factor determining when I was increasing my fees was always the time where too many people would want to work with me at the time relative to how much time and energy I had, how many people I basically could work with at any given time, right? So I got to the fees I got to through a simple supply and demand thing, right? So had I been charging any less than I charge right now, I would have to turn not just the people I don't like, but or I don't want to work with, but also the people I do like and do want to work with, just because I wouldn't have the space, I wouldn't have the time. Like obviously coaching, every time I coach, I'm present, right? It's not selling a course, right? One-to-one coaching. So naturally there's gonna be a limitation as to how many clients I can work with at any given time. Now, for majority of my career, so between 2011 and 2021, I would have anywhere between 25 and 30 clients at any given time. There was one point in 2017 I got to 40. That was definitely too many, but I was managing 25 to 30 clients at any given time for the majority of my career. My sessions were shorter at the time. All my clients have always had 24/7 access to me via WhatsApp in between sessions as well. So imagine having 25 to 30 clients at any given time. They all have 24/7 access to you via WhatsApp. And on top of it, I would have back then, when I was charging less, around 200 initial consultations per year as well. For the first 2.5 years, I was working 7 days a week. Then after 2.5 years, when I felt like I've made it, when I got to six figures and I moved to Mayfair, the place you're referring to, which I'm in still right now, 11 years later, I felt like, okay, I think it's time for me to stop working on Sundays. Like I can afford the luxury of not so much afford the luxury because I gotta be honest, like, for a single guy, child-free guy, sometimes I can get bored on Sundays and I miss a little bit of coaching action, right? But I have concluded that it wasn't so much about how I needed the rest from coaching for one day a week. I felt like I'm actually doing this service to my clients by not having one day a week where I just reset and spend half a day. I'm still working on Sundays to this every Sunday. Like my team would tell you, I'll be trying to make my perfect website sounding even more perfect. I say perfect because I think it's perfect in terms of copy, right? But that's what I think now. Tomorrow is Sunday. I'm going to go through it probably, and I'm going to find a way to make it even more perfect, right? Because I'm going to move this comma from here to here and ask myself how on earth I've missed that. Like this comma should be here, not here, right? It's a constant for the last 13.5 years. It wasn't just like, I've been coaching for it's I don't know which term is more accurate, obsessive or borderline obsessive, but it's one or the other, right? I haven't just been passionate about what I do. Like, I love what I do. It's like, no, it's more than that. I'm obsessive by nature, not clinically obsessive. I haven't been diagnosed with like OCD or anything like that, but I'm definitely OCD. I'm definitely a perfectionist, right? I've made, just to give you an idea, in 13.5 years, I've made one scheduling mistake, like one admin mistake. And I've always been managing my own diary, right? Even though I've always had assistants, not always, not from day one, I couldn't afford it, but like for the last, let's say 12 years, I've had assistants, but I've always managed my own diary. And in all this time, I've only managed to make make one scheduling mistake, and because I'm a fucking perfectionist, to this day I feel guilty. Like, nobody died. It's not like I'm running a country or a hospital, right? Nobody died, but like I'm like, how could I make this mistake? Where I basically double booked myself. I had two people coming in to meet me at the same time. I was like, shit, I have to say no to one of them. So going back to your general question, it's a matter of charging what I charge at any point, whether it was £20 per session, £100 per session, 1, 2, 3, 5K per program, whatever. At any point, I felt very comfortable with what I was charging. It's never been about the money. And it's always a tricky, when I talk about this, I always feel like, if I heard it from somebody else, like you're saying that it's never been about the money, but you're saying that from your penthouse in Mayfair, with a fucking Rolex on. Yeah, but it's never been about, okay, I want to work so much and I want to get into coaching and work so much so I can live in a penthouse and have a Rolex. I wanted to become the best coach I could become, and the money followed that, or became a byproduct of that, right? That commitment to my craft and to becoming the best in the UK at what I do to begin with as a stage one, and the ultimate, stage, the ultimate goal is to become the best in the world. It's just, I'm being realistic. I'm 42. I've been doing it for 13 and a half years. And I recognize that I might need another 20 years of experience to become the best in the world, right? But I'm not in a rush. I know this is not something that I'm ever planning to retire from. My father asked me last year we were talking over the phone. He's in Poland. And he said, by the way, do you have a, pension fund? Like, do you pay some like money monthly? Like, I said no. And he was like, how come? Like, what when you retire? Like, how are you going to retire? From what? From having fun, having thought-provoking conversations with my fucking awesome clients. Like, why would I want to retire from that? Like, I'm going to coach until I die. Like, I'll probably die during a coaching session. I think that would be a pretty cool way to check out. I would just feel for the clients because that'd be traumatic for them, like.
It's going to be like top 10 deaths in the world.
Yeah. Like, they'll be like, Michael, are you okay? It's like, oh shit, he's dead. So I'm charging £20 per session. I'm having a great time. Yes, I had a fair share of clients at the early stage, first few years. You were obviously an exception, but there was a fair share of clients I have worked with a fair amount of, or fair share of losers. And what I mean by that, this has nothing to do with income. This is to do with mentality, the loser mentality, the victimhood, and all that shit. Why do you think you are broke? Oh, it's because of the economy. I'm like, nah, I can't. Like, you can't say that to me, a fucking immigrant, who came here with nothing, barely speaking your fucking language that you speak perfectly. You can't, you cannot, if
Yeah,
you British.
it cannot be an excuse. I remember you told me that you got to work with winners because winners will win anyway. You will be there along the ride. You will help them win even more.
100%. One of the things you learn pretty quickly as a coach, or pretty quickly, took me a few years, but relatively quickly, is that no matter how hard you try, and I've always done my fucking, from day one, somebody could think like, oh, he's so motivated right now. He talks about how much he loves his clients and how much he loves his life and the craft of coaching, because he makes so much money, right? Because he charges so much. I fucking loved what I do just as much, if not more, when I first started. Those 2.5 years when I was working 7 days a week before I moved to Mayfair, first year I've made 34K, second year I've made 95K. So, 95, nice. 34, that's what I was making in retail, right? And like I said, a fair share of my first clients were not particularly inspiring. Right, that'll be a fucking polite way to put it. Right, the best 2.5 years of my life, hands down. The best 2.5 years of my life. Why? Because I was fucking building something. I was building something, and building something will always give you more joy than, like, climbing the mountain will always give you more joy than getting to the fucking top of that mountain. Once you get to the top of that mountain, you'll be like, it's nice in here. But then you go, there's another mountain over there. It's actually been proven, scientifically proven, that our body, so the human body, releases more of the good chemicals. More of those is being released when we are working towards a goal than when we reach the goal. Serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, like,
yeah,
it's been scientifically proven, right? So yes, I had different milestones that I wanted to hit. So okay, let's fucking make enough money to survive. That was the first goal. right? So like, what do I need to do to survive? Because I had no other sources of income. I was 5K in debt. That was my net worth when I started coaching, negative 5K. So the first goal was to fucking survive. So I didn't have to do anything else because I definitely wanted to coach full time. Like I was very clear on that, right? But then it's like, okay, now I'm surviving. Now I'm making enough money to pay the bills. Okay, let's get to that 6-figure level, right? And then when I get to 6-figure level, I'll be able to just about afford moving to Mayfair. And it wasn't just like, oh, because I love Mayfair so much, I do. But I also understood, and looking back, I couldn't be more right, that this will do well for my positioning, right? Because like one of the things I know I've done better than most coaches, which is one of the reasons why I am doing better than most coaches, like all of the other coaches in this country, to be precise. It's not the fact that I am so much more intelligent than all of them, because I'm not. It's not that I have read more books than them, because I haven't. It's certainly not the case of me now. I probably am a better coach than other coaches just because I've worked with more clients than they have, but I've worked with more clients than they have. So I've clocked in more coaching hours than they have, because very early on I understood that being a good coach, a passionate coach, someone who wants to help people, is nowhere near enough. You have to learn the marketing, the branding, the selling, all the stuff that all businesses need to be conscious of in order to succeed, right? And coaching is no different. And coaching, when you think about it, unlike being a personal trainer or counselor or a therapist, you can always get a job as a personal trainer, as a therapist, right? Even if it's like through NHS, right? A life coach can get a job. There'll be like a fucking handful of like positions in some super cutting edge, open-minded companies that they will have in-house life coach.
And it's
There'll be like,
still more like like a performance coach. Maybe not like a full-fledged life coach. It's still
yeah, but I would use those terms interchangeably, like life
yeah.
coach, personal coach, performance coach. But like even the performance coach is like it's yes, there will be companies, I don't know if any, but like yes, there will be some positions for in-house coaches, but like there's gonna be hundreds of those, or 200 of those, or maybe 500 of those. Let's be generous, 1,000 of those in the
Mm.
whole world, and there will be hundreds of thousands of coaches. Meaning that the only way for a coach, with those few exceptions, the only way for a coach to make money would be to get their own clients. And that's much harder than the coaching itself. So the business side of coaching is order of magnitude harder than the coaching itself, right? So looking back, I knew that I wasn't bad at coaching. I wasn't great. I wasn't bad, but I'm sure I wasn't better than many other coaches. But what I've done differently is, like I said, I took the branding, the marketing, the selling side of things very seriously. I was learning about that stuff more than I was learning about the coaching itself, because coaching is one of those professions that ultimately you learn on the job, right? It's not like you go into a coaching school and they're gonna fucking teach you how to be a good coach. Like you can only learn it on the job at the end of the day, right? It's like playing football. You learn how to play football on the fucking football pitch, not through books or through watching training videos, right? And the more time you spend on a football pitch, the more chance you have to become a professional, well-paid football player. So it's a little bit like that, right? So to this day, I'm learning a lot about marketing and sales and branding and all those things. And coaching, yes, I become better coach every year because I work with more clients every year. So I'm clocking in more coaching hours, right? But then in 2021, coming back to what I was saying before, and I can explain it very easily, because through COVID, or because of COVID, I got a taste of working with less people for a while, because just there was this
Mm.
period, during the first lockdown where, understandably, I got much fewer inquiries than I normally get. As I was saying, most of my career, I would get around 200 initial consultations per year. So in that lockdown period, I would get, can't remember, maybe 10 initial consultations in total, right?
Mm.
And that led to, for a period of time, for me to work with less clients. And I basically got a taste. Looking back, what happened was I got a taste for what working with fewer people feels like. And I like that taste. Then what I did, I basically doubled my fees, and I ended up working with 50% of the amount of people I worked in the past. So I went from 20 to 25 at any given time to around 10 now since 2021. right? So that's my business model right now. Around 10 clients, 10 to 12,
Mm.
great people. We take our time to get to know each other before we decide whether this is the right fit. So 2 to 3 hours for the initial consultation. I only work with people who meet certain criteria. Sure enough, my website being built the way it's built in terms of the copy, it's a great magnet, if you will, for the right people and a fantastic repellent for the wrong people. So because of that, the vast majority of people I have initial consultations with, there's no problem of chemistry. We get along. It's just a matter of whether they're prepared to invest in themselves as much as working with me requires, whether the timing is right and all of that, right? But I still have around 100 initial consultations per year, and there's absolutely no way I could take on 100 people on every year, especially given that at any given time, around 30% of my clients are my former clients or people I've worked with in the past who are either coming back to me for more coaching or they've never stopped, right? So they just continue and continue and continue, some of them for years, right? On and off. I actually had a client earlier today who I've worked with on and off since 2016. I believe. So I absolutely need or require most of those initial consultations not to turn into clients because I don't have the physical capacity. So it's good in many ways. One of them is that I never need to worry whether or not this person will say yes. It's like if it's a yes from me, I don't need to worry whether they will say yes or no because I need most of them to say no anyway. Like,
Do you think there is a level of like artificial? It's not even artificial. It's like true scarcity. It's like you
no, it
can't.
is. It is. It is. Yes, because it is because I get 3 times more inquiries or I have 3 times more initial consultations than I have the capacity. Given that my current business model, as I said, since 2021, is around 10 clients at any given time. Right? It definitely helps not to worry about what they're gonna say, what's gonna happen, what's gonna be the outcome of this consultation, and certainly helps in no one ever feeling. I hope anyway. That's my goal, and that's my hope that nobody ever feels pressure. Right? Yes, I am a passionate person in general. I might be Italian trapped in a Polish body. I'm quite passionate about the things I'm passionate about, right? So I do recognize that sometimes my enthusiasm towards an individual like might feel like I'm not so much putting pressure on them, but like I'm showing so much interest in the idea of working with them because I care about the money. Of course, money is involved in that, but like it's not like I'm sitting on millions, but like I'm comfortable, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't like think about money, worry about money, right? So if I really like someone, I'm not gonna be sitting there pretending that I don't, right? Like playing some games. It's just like I've never been to. I'm not a good actor. Like I'm not gonna be sitting there like John. Let's say John, and I say John. Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. I suppose you meet my criteria. I'm gonna need a night to sleep on it. I'll let you know tomorrow. I'm like,
I think that that's what some consultants, coaches try to do because like that is like a learned tactic, sales
yeah,
tactic. Like a little bit,
Ross,
scratch off. Yeah.
it's just like I've learned over the years a whole bunch of selling techniques. I have no, I could. I wouldn't say I could be a sales trainer. I don't know that much, right? But I could write at least a small book on sales because I've learned so much, right, over the years, right? Just because I know those techniques doesn't mean I want to use them. Not because I'm such a moral person, I'm a fucking saint. I'm not. It's just one, I wouldn't want to do. This is like I think I'm not religious, but I think Bible talks about it already. One of the first personal development books, the Bible talks about it. Don't do to other people what you wouldn't want to.
To do to yourself. Yeah.
If I wouldn't appreciate that approach, if I was to go to a coach or service provider of any kind, why would I do to my prospective clients what I wouldn't want someone to do to me, right? Number one. Number two, these days, especially, so the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, with some rare exceptions, I get to deal with very sophisticated, highly intelligent, typically way more intelligent than me audience. My prospective clients could see right fucking through this. So I'll be insulting the intelligence if
Mm.
I was to say things like, hey, so it's this much, but this price is only for today. If you don't say yes now, as soon as you walk out of this door, it's going to be more tomorrow. Like, if somebody
Mm.
said that to me, I'll be like, listen, I'm out of here. Like,
Yeah,
even
exactly.
if everything else up to that point was on the fucking money, they would lose me by insulting my intelligence by using such a quote unquote cheap selling technique. This is not fucking Tesco's. I'm not fucking Tesco's,
Yeah.
buy one, get one free, fucking special offers, this or the other. I'm the fucking Harrods, right? I'm the fucking Selfridges, right? And my clients, when they come to me, They expect Harrods like experience, not Tesco's like experience, no disrespect to Tesco. So I treat them accordingly, and I see those initial consultations. Yes, they're obviously, technically speaking, they're sales conversations, right? But I very much treat them as a way for me to see not so much if I can connect with this person, because if they reach out to me, by definition, I assume that there's going to be some degree of connection, because if they read my website and they still reached out to me, we will probably get along, right? So it's less about whether or not we're going to get along. It's more about the degree to which we're going to get along, right? And obviously with some people, like it's human nature. With some people, I will have more chemistry. With some people, I have less chemistry. But I don't think there's a single person I work with right now I wouldn't be happy to work with for free if I couldn't charge them, if they couldn't pay, if for some reason, let's say, it became illegal to charge for coaching, right? And I had some other source of income, but I would still be coaching, right? Because I love coaching. I don't coach because coaching pays me. I coach because I love, and I happen to make money because I can charge for what I love, right? So that certainly wasn't the case with some of those first clients I was telling you about, because that felt like hard work, but I was still okay because one, I needed money for the first few years. Two, I wanted the experience. Like I wanted to become the best I could become as quickly as possible, right? So I understood that the more people I work with, the better, right? And looking back, one of the positives in working with a fair share, maybe, I don't know, 50 in total, 70 maybe in total, of the more uninspiring characters, people without that winner mentality, is that those experiences really help me to appreciate the people I get to work with right now, because they're just so fucking easy to work with, right? The more successful people are financially or in terms of the way they think, or both, the easier they are to coach. So one could think surely working with billionaires is harder than working with, the guy who works doing 9 to 5. Absolutely not, right? The more successful my clients are, the easier they are to work with. It's effortless to work with successful people. It's effortless to work with winners. The hardest thing, and that's something that took me a few years to figure out, is working with losers, and how, no matter how hard you try as a coach, no matter how committed, determined, ambitious you are as a coach, like I remember thinking, like, the first few years, like, I'm gonna fucking help this person, even if it kills me. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm not gonna give up on this person, right? I almost fucking died, right? Because
It's like a saver mentality, It's like
yeah,
why are you trying to save someone?
yes, like,
When you
come
sink.
on, John, come on. I say John as a, like, not that all my clients are called John, but come on, John, like, but I've learned, it took me a while, but I've learned eventually that one thing I cannot do, and no coach can do, is to turn a loser into a winner. And there is a quote from Les Brown. He said, there are three types of people in the world. There are winners, there are losers, and there are winners that need some coaching. I only work with winners and winners that need some coaching. I don't work with losers. I don't care, because sometimes, you can have access to a lot of money because you might have inherited it. But if you have a loser mentality, I'm going to smell that shit from a mile off, let alone if you come to me for initial consultation. Yes, you might have money, but the way you speak, the way you talk when I ask you about your goals, and the way you answer these questions, I'll be able to tell, I'm going to look at you. It's nothing to do with like, oh, fit, not fit, what's your body fat percentage? It's like, look as in like the way you carry yourself, your body language, right? I will know that if I work with a winner, the transformation is fucking guaranteed. It's like I literally say to people, because there's like, listen, the only way for this coaching not to lead to a transformation is if you don't cooperate, if you don't do your part, if you don't take it seriously. In which case, if that's what you're thinking, let's don't fucking do it, because I'm not gonna enjoy it. You're not gonna get the results. I will take your money. Let's don't fucking do it, all right? But if you fucking cooperate, if you fucking do what I tell you to do, not what I tell you to do as in like do this, do that. If you do the things that we together collectively agree that you should do, that are right for you to do, I don't use, as a policy, I don't use the words guarantee and promise, right? I don't want to promise or guarantee, but I would say something like, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to get the result that you want if you fucking play your part, because I know that I can guarantee, because that I can control. I can guarantee someone that I will do my part, that I will take it seriously, because I always fucking take it. I was taking it seriously at 20 pounds per session. I'm certainly taking it seriously now, because even for my very, very wealthy clients, I know that what they pay me is fucking like 20 pounds for me, but it's still a lot of money. And I have a tremendous amount of appreciation and gratitude for those people, even for those for whom my fees are like fucking pocket money, right? Because they still trust me with that amount of money, right? They first of all trust me with the life, which is far more valuable than the fucking money. So that's number one. Number two, they can work with literally any coach they want because
Mm.
they can afford it. And out of all the fucking coaches, all the options that they've had, they chose to work with me, and I'm really fucking grateful for it, right? So
If you can you talk about a case when you had a ultra high status or whatever, a high status person coming for a consultation,
yeah,
but they turned out to be a dick or whatever, a loser mentality, and you turned them down? If
sure.
you can.
Sure, yeah, of course. There was a lady the last time, because you said someone who's like high status, successful, right? So there was this woman from a very rich American family, middle age, very stylish, very intelligent, very sophisticated, but energetically, I can't tell you exactly what it was, but I'm not saying that there was something wrong with her necessarily, right? But the chemistry just wasn't there at the level. It's not like there wasn't chemistry, that we like didn't like each other. Like it was okay, but like okay, it's not enough for me at this stage, right? Okay was fine for me 5 years ago. Was definitely fine for me 10 years ago, but okay, it's like the standard is higher than okay, right? Because like I said, every single one of my existing clients, if I couldn't charge them for coaching, I would still want to work with them for free, right? And I would still work with them for free, right? That's so fucking awesome, like because that doesn't feel like work. Whereas with this woman, she obviously had the money, but I just didn't feel so. Like the vast majority of initial consultations, whether people say yes or no, doesn't whether it's a 2 hour long consultation or 4 hour long. The longest was 6.5 hours, right? And those are the meetings that I don't charge for, right? But like if I have the time, if they have the time, you have the energy, they have the energy, fucking, if, which is fucking, not that I lose a sense of time, like I know what time is it. It's just
Mm.
like, I'm just having fun. Like, why would I fucking end something? It's like being on a great fucking date. If you're on a great fucking date and you have both of you plenty of time, why would you end it after 2 hours if you can go on for five? Right? So it's a little bit like that with my initial consultations, right? My dates, by the way, are considerably shorter than my initial consultations and sessions, right? So that gives you insight into where my priorities are in life, right? Like both my initial consultations and sessions average 3 hours. I don't remember being on a 3 hour long date. Right, so like it's been a long time that I was that long with a girl on a date, because it was like, sweetheart, it was good to see you, but I have things to do, so let me get you an Uber, and and I like my girlfriends, right? It's not like I don't like them, but it's just like, priorities. Anyway, so coming back to this American woman, I definitely knew I could help her with what she needed help with. I think she felt it too, but I just knew, Romance, that I wouldn't be looking forward to seeing her. I wouldn't be dreading seeing her, right? If she wasn't that bad, like the lack of compatibility wasn't that severe, but I wouldn't be looking forward to seeing her. Now, that might sound like a very spoiled statement, right? It's like,
Mm.
what? Like, yeah, but like, I genuinely look forward to seeing my clients. Like, oh, I'm seeing John today. Fucking great. I'm seeing Stephen. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas with this woman, I'll be like, yeah,
How do you tune into that? Was it an intuition?
it was, yeah, because like I said, like if you ask me like what was it about her, like there was nothing wrong with her,
Yeah.
like it's not like she was a bad person or like she was a bitch. Like no, I don't know. It was just like energetically, my body probably more than my mind kind
Yeah.
of sending me signals that you shouldn't work with them.
But you're
And
you're sensitive to this. I mean, you know
very,
when.
very,
Yeah.
I'm very in touch with, like, my female intuition is very strong. Like, I'm very in touch with my fucking, like,
Yeah.
mind, body, like all of those things. All the departments are communicating fucking very well with each other.
Is it also a result of like coaching as well? Or do you think that it's been more of like not innate, but maybe from your parents or
Yeah, from the young, I've always been, which came very handy when it
yeah,
comes to becoming a coach. I've always been quite good in reading people,
right,
right?
right.
And I would sometimes, like, I would be on a date, and I go say something, and she would say something like, so I know. She's like, how do you know this? I knew that within the first 10 seconds of us meeting, like
Mm,
it's just like I just know. How do I know? I don't know, right? But definitely, being a professional coach for so many years has allowed for that muscle, if you will, to grow even further. But with some rare exceptions, where someone is just when it's like obvious that we're not the right fit. My clients know me very well. One of them said in her video testimonial, she said, Michael is the nicest asshole you will ever meet. Right? But I think we all know the difference between people who act like assholes sometimes and actual assholes. I know who I am. Like, I understand exactly why she said it, but I also know we're still in touch. She's a great woman. Her name is Ange. She knows I'm not an actual asshole, right? And I don't need her to fucking tell me that. Nobody needs to tell me that. I know who I am, right? Like, I'm 42 and I've done 19 years of personal development. Like, I know who I am, right? Like, I know where my integrity is. I know where my fucking moral compass is, right? But because I'm not an actual asshole, this is where I'm going with this. I have my elegant way of saying no to people,
Mm,
especially when somebody comes to me and they are on a more vulnerable side. They found me, they see me as this authority figure, they come to me for help, they come to my house. I don't want to be the one fucking telling them, listen, I don't want to work with you. You know why? Because I don't like you. Like, I don't want to be that guy. Even with the people I don't want to work with, I still don't want them to leave that meeting feeling worse off than when they came in, right? I don't want to be that person, right? So with this particular woman, I doubt she's going to listen to this, right? Because I doubt she's following me, right? So, but even if she does, listen, this is the fucking truth, right? I was like, fucking hell, she wasn't too bad. It wasn't obvious, like, how I'm gonna break it to her. I really like, and then she said, okay, let me sleep on it. I'll get back to you tomorrow or something, right? So I was like, okay, I didn't have to make that call now because I was just like, oh, I was a bit on the fence, but then I definitely arrived to a conclusion, like after I slept on it,
mm,
that I shouldn't do it, right? And there is this saying, if there is a doubt, there is no doubt,
mm,
right? If I ask you if you love your girlfriend and if you wouldn't give me an immediate yes, for me that's a no, right? Like, hey, do you like the place you live in? That's a no. Hey, do you like your job? That's a no, right? When we know, we fucking know. And
mm,
the idea would be to get to the point, no matter what it is that you do, right? If you're a service provider like myself, to get to the point where, unless it's a hell yes, it's a no. Unless you're like, I can't fucking wait to start working with this person. I can't wait to see this person again. Unless I feel like that, which is exactly how I feel about all of my clients, I shouldn't work with this person. And with this woman, I was a bit on the fence. And then by next day, I was definitely on the no side of the fence, right? And I was like, fuck, she was nice enough woman. She needs help. And she
mm,
came to me and I was like, I'm not an actual asshole, like, how am I gonna break it to her? But she made it easier for me because you know what she said? She said, Michael, like, thank you for your time. As I said to you, I spoke to this other coach before, or so now it's between the two of you. So like I'm gonna decide whether it's you or the other person, this other coach. And I use that as an opportunity to say, listen, if you have to choose between, which is something that I could say even if I liked someone, I think I would say the
mm.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
I would say, listen, respectfully, if you need to choose between me and somebody else, go with that other person, right? Like, imagine you are dating someone, like, I use a lot of dating analogies. Imagine you're dating someone and you've been on 3 dates with her, and she's like, hey, Romance, by the way, while I was dating you, I was dating this guy called John as well.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where I'm trying to decide. I'll be like, sweetheart, go to John. Like, listen, me being like one of the two options, me being a backup. Now, that's not how I fucking roll, right? Like, you could
Funny,
be.
funny enough, this exactly. Like, I think I've learned that from you, but I just forgot that. We do obviously. I was sell to founders or CEOs, but that is exactly the line that sometimes I sell to clients.
Yeah,
Now I realize that I've picked it up from you from whatever 10 years ago because it's naturally for businesses to go and get quotes or whatever. When they deal with consultancy, so speak with one consultancy, then with another, then we'll compare.
yeah.
And there are cases when they get back and, hey, Romans, we're still in the process of trying to select the best consultancy. And I reply back by explaining, look, if you have to choose between us and somebody else, probably it's a maybe. And we don't accept maybes. So, and now I remember that exactly what I've learned from you, man. So it's so
It's
funny.
definitely linked to like one of my biggest life philosophies, if you will, right? Something that I apply both in my personal life, so like in my dating life as well as in my professional life. And it's this whole idea of me being the price. Like, I'm the fucking price. Some call it arrogance. I just see that being a
Mm,
product of 19 years of personal development and just fucking seeing myself as, to use a technical term, as the shit. I'm the shit. Do I think I'm better than anyone? No. On a spiritual level, no. But certainly nobody's better than me either, right? So if you start to act around me as you think you are better than me, I'm gonna fucking call you out on it. I'm gonna be like, excuse me, I think you've mistaken me by someone who gives a fuck. Politely, like I don't get upset. I don't get like as a policy, I don't shout, I don't get angry. Like I don't remember last time I got angry, right? Again, this is not because I was so fortunate to be born with my temper being in check. Like, no, I just done a lot of work on myself. I'm still working on myself. I'm not a finished fucking product. I'm still work in progress. I will forever be work in progress, right? But like I just don't get upset. I don't get angry, right? And I certainly don't allow or give other people the power to make me angry. I can make myself a little bit angry or upset or sad, but I'm not gonna let you or anybody make me feel fucking angry. I don't give you that power. So when someone sometimes, for example, which happens because the way I operate, like if you are nice to me or neutral, even like you don't need to be nice, just if you're neutral to me, I'm gonna be the nicest fucking person you've ever met. If you give me no reason, I'll be nice. And sometimes this niceness, and this is not just for me, I know this is like happens to most of my clients because they suffer from the same condition that I do, which is people pleasing. I'm a people pleaser from my mother's side. She's a massive people pleaser, and I'm
Mm.
almost as big as she is. And sometimes, as I'm sure you've learned yourself, sometimes our niceness can be mistaken for weakness.
Yeah, generosity or niceness. Yeah,
Yeah, you are being generous with someone. You give someone one thing, and then next thing you know, they ask you for 5 hours. Excuse me, I use that line sometimes. Listen, I think you nicely, not like a like.
yeah.
I don't attack them. I just say, listen, you might have mistaken my niceness for weakness. I'm nice, but I'm not weak,
I'm
right?
sure. I'm sure people also mistake arrogance. Some people, but I also feel like you've got this, self, unnatural filtering energy around you.
Yeah,
Some people mistake confidence for arrogance.
100%,
I don't know. In my experience, people who don't know the difference between the two are typically the ones who fall into the loser
100%.
mindset.
I thought you might say that. I thought you might say that, and I thought that's where we were going with this. If not, I would say it myself. I have never been quote unquote accused of being arrogant, but by someone who was confident themselves. I have never been criticized for someone who was more successful than me. It's always the fucking guy without a profile picture on a social media platform, or with a profile picture being the fucking cat who's trolling me. So I will make a fucking LinkedIn post that they found triggering, right? They see it as controversial. I'm just sharing my fucking thoughts, like my writing, right? Never in my life I sat down and thought, let me write a controversial post. Let me say something controversial. Let me write something. I just share my thoughts, and sure enough, sometimes people find the things I say controversial, which is totally fine by me. Like I accept that, right? What's interesting for me, and more than just interesting, it's entertaining for me. And this is the funniest part because those motherfuckers, I would make posts this long. So for those of you listening, I'm like showing like what two-inch long post, right? They would negatively comment on a 2-inch post with a 4-inch, right? and,
Yeah.
and, and it's like there is like, and like I said, it's always like a weird looking dude fucking, or like there's no picture at all, which is unusual on LinkedIn, right? It's never like a CEO of, or like a managing director of, and like a normal looking guy saying like, because I'm not talking about people disagreeing with me, because I disagree with people, but there's a way to go about it. I'm not gonna spend fucking 15 minutes writing a comment about how much I hate that post that someone's, because I have better things to do. It's entertaining for me because they think that they're gonna like hurt my feelings. They're gonna like, ugh, they're gonna show me, right? They're gonna like affect my mood, and I'm literally reading this and I'm fucking smiling because I'm thinking I just fucking said something that I thought. As I'm rereading my post. It's like, no, it's just like, even like to my standards, that's mild. The category of posts that get a lot of those comments are every time I say something along the lines of 5 biggest misconceptions poor people have about rich people. I know how it feels to be broke. I was broke for the first 30 years of my life, right? Let's don't forget, I didn't come from money, far from it. Like the only reason my family in Poland have money right now is because I fucking sent it to them, right? So there was no money growing up. Like I remember it took me fucking 6 months of campaigning and fucking working on my parents to get my fucking first Nike trainers, when I was 14 or something, right? So I've never been hungry or cold growing up. So like I didn't experience poverty, but like there's never been money, and I didn't have money until I was 30, right? And it's interesting because you never have fucking Jeff Bezos fucking negatively commenting on people's posts. You never see. It's always this. So just when you get criticized, just remind yourself that the person who's criticizing you, they're probably envious of you, or they like to, as if I'm gonna get insulted by it. You coach yourself, coach for the elite. I wonder what your clients would think of it. While I already saw that 5 of my clients liked that post.
I remember there was one post that you made. It was a longer time ago. I think back in the day when you were on Facebook or whatever,
Uh
and
huh.
you made a comment, made a post about living in Mayfair. No, not stepping outside of the first zone or something like that. Stepping outside of Mayfair, and there was like a bunch of
Oh
uh,
yes, 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 yeah. I remember. No, there was
people
something.
talking
No,
about that.
it was worse than that. It was. I have to say, because even though like at the time I stood by it and I didn't have a problem with it, hence I posted it. But it wasn't about what I said; it's how I said it. I wouldn't do it now because I'm just more mature. I'm a fucking 8 years older version of myself, right? It was something about I was walking down the street around here and there was a homeless guy chilling. It was summer. He was chilling and he was reading a book. Like a homeless guy in the middle of the day reading a book, like a novel or something, like a fiction book, right? And I took a picture of it without his face, just a picture of it. And I just posted that on Facebook and I said something like, he'll be better off reading my book as a self-help book, right? And I fucking, without thinking anything of it, I posted it. I went into a client session. Fuck me, 2 or 3 hours later, there's like 300 negative comments. Like the most engagement I ever got for any post, right? And sure enough, I didn't know any of those people, like not a single person that I knew, because my clients, first of all, knew that I was joking. Like it was like my type of humor, number one. My clients are like my people in general, right? Number one. Number two, my clients would know that I don't have a problem with homeless people. Sure enough, Daniel Priestley, who was my business coach at the time, very kindly, he sent me a WhatsApp. He said something like, Michael, that backlash, that you get in on Facebook, and he wasn't like telling me what to do. He would never like try to tell me what to do, just like I don't tell my clients what to do. But he was just, he's a very kind
Concern.
person.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a very good guy, and he was just like he was having my back, right? Because he saw what was happening on Facebook. I was getting fucking crucified, right? And he was basically advising me to like delete that post. Why don't you delete? He was like, why don't you delete it? Like it's just like you press the button, it's gone, right? And I remember I said to him, Daniel, I see what's happening here, but like as a policy, I can't, because that's what I said. I meant what I said. It's for me, it's, I'm not going to delete something that I stand by, right? But yeah, like I said, it wasn't so much about what I said, it's how I said it. I can't remember exactly how I put it, but
Mm,
the way I put it to the people who didn't know me, it made me look like a mean person. And I know I'm not a mean person. I'm not a mean person.
mm.
I just have a dark sense of humor. I know that, right? Like,
Yeah, but
you know,
he's a life coach, so
yeah,
that's
no, but that's now. Yeah, that's like it was like this. I remember I can't remember which post was like someone said yes, and it's always people I don't know that I've never met. Someone would say something like, "I can't believe you said that as a life coach," and I replied, I said something like, "Yes, I'm a life coach. I never said you should use me as a moral
yeah.
role model of some sort. I'm not trying to be I'm not a priest." I'm a life coach, and I'm not just any life coach. I'm the no bullshit coach. I'm known for my no bullshit approach. My clients come to me precisely because they know I will tell them what just about any other coach will hesitate to tell them. And that's one of the reasons why they are happy to pay the big bucks, because that's very valuable to them. The same thing that would get me in hot water, so to speak, on social media every now and again is the very fucking thing that is very valuable for my clients. I'm the type of person who will tell you when you have fucking food between your teeth, I don't care who you are. That'll be the first thing I would tell you today, except that you didn't have any fucking food in your teeth. I'll be like, Romans, you have, And I would hope that you would do the same, like, especially that we are recording this, right? Like, imagine me not noticing for an hour that I had like fucking lettuce for my lunch. And I'll be like, why the fuck didn't you tell me? Like for us, it's easy because we are Eastern European, right? But, Brits, and I love British people, right? Like, they're my favorite.
Western mentality is slightly different. Yeah, of course, you've got people. I mean, generally speaking, successful people and no bullshit filter anyway.
Yeah.
But when it comes to masses, people would prefer to use a different strategy, better not to offend.
Yeah.
and that means I'm not gonna say anything. I'm
Yeah,
better
yeah,
read.
yeah. Yeah, my coaching style, it took me a year and a half to figure this out. It wasn't like from day one, but then on the back of I've mentioned Daniel Priestley before. So I was doing Daniel Priestley's How to Become a Key Person of Influence program. Before he was my personal business coach, if you will, because before I could afford to work with him one to one, I did
Mm,
his program, which he's been running across different countries for many years, right? So that's 2012, 2013, right? And on the back of doing that program, which I really enjoyed and I really recommend to entrepreneurs in general to this day, I carved that niche for myself, and that niche being the no bullshit coach, right? But Romans, it was so easy for me to do that because I basically started to tell people what I would want to tell them anyway. My coaching style is nothing but the extension of my personality. Right. So it's not like I'm in this way throughout the day and then I see a client and I get into the character of some no bullshit coach. It's like I'm always the way I am now, no matter who I speak to. After a few glasses of wine, I'm a more mild version, like because it takes my edge off a little bit, right? But I'm still the same person. If you like, I'm the same person as a coach as I am as a non-coach. For me, in terms of like identity, but there's no
yeah,
separation between Michael the coach versus Michael on duty versus Michael off duty. There's no
yeah.
separation. It's the same person.
Since you start talking about business and Daniel Priestley and all of that, you were the one who built, out of many coaches out there in the UK globally, you've built one-to-one coaching business. No online tricks like funnels or ads. I mean, you're running, and I know you done Google Ads, but nothing like massive. No webinars when you probably had an opportunity to do so, right? How did you build that model? And also the second question, how did you go about moving up market? Obviously, pricing is a part of that, but also positioning. Is there anything else that you've learned along the way to help you go up market, maintaining that one-to-one exclusivity?
Sure. So, as you said, I work exclusively one to one with people. I haven't done anything else in terms of income generating activities as a coach over the last 8 years or so. Yes, I make some money from sales of my books, but that's like, hundreds of pounds per year. So, that's hardly an amount that would make any difference to my like overall turnover, right? But I definitely felt from day one that the intimacy of one-to-one coaching would be something I would really enjoy. And sure enough, after all these years, that was a good instinct because I fucking love the intimacy of one-to-one coaching. But that's not to say that I haven't done other things in the past, because I've tried many things. I mean, in 2012 alone, so I started coaching in October of 2011. And in 2012 alone, just to give you an idea, I have organized and delivered approximately 200 talks, right? So I have a lot of experience as a public speaker. I've been invited to speak at different stages, whatever, back in the day. And I'm not against it, right? I wrote a book. I did enjoy the process of writing. I like to write my short posts on LinkedIn. I write daily currently, but writing a book was an entirely different fucking story, especially when you consider that I was writing in my second language after at the time only being in London for 7 years. Even though I sensed from day one that one-to-one coaching was my preference, or is my preference, because I wanted to become the best coach in the country from day one, like, and then eventually in the world, I was willing to do whatever I thought I could do in order to get to my goal faster.
Mm,
That's why I wrote a book. That's why I put together those events. Not because I was so excited about the idea of running events. I wasn't. Or speaking at events. I wasn't. Not because I was excited about the opportunity to write a book. I absolutely wasn't. Like Daniel Priestley made me write that fucking book. For anyone who read it and didn't like it, you blame this guy. Because he made me do it. But to this day, I ask myself, what else can I do to become a better coach? What else can I do to work with clients of higher and higher caliber, right? And by higher and higher caliber, just to be fucking clear, I don't mean richer and richer, right? Because you can be a billionaire, and I know some billionaires, not personally, thank God, but I know some billionaires that I wouldn't want to be nearby,
mm,
because I just don't respect them as human beings, right? They are morally corrupted, or I don't trust, like, I could give you a whole list of those, right? Higher caliber, by that I mean people who think in a certain way. My youngest client is 17. He's never made a money of any kind in his life. Like, he has rich parents, that's why he can work with me, right? He's a high caliber client of mine. He's a fucking winner. He's a fucking assassin. He's sharper than most people I've met in my life in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? It's scary where he's gonna be, especially when you consider that at 17 he thought about getting a coach. Not just any coach. He ended up meeting me, and I didn't know how old he was before he came to me because he didn't mention that in the email. When I asked him for his LinkedIn or some other links that could allow me to prepare myself for that issue consultation, he said he's not on LinkedIn, which I found a bit strange. I thought it's a bit unusual. Does he work in McDonald's or something? But like, he sounded intelligent in that email. So I don't have like, oh, before this might change if someone's listening to this 5 years from now. But like, as it stands, in May of 2025, all you gotta do is send me a fucking email. And unless you sound like a fucking moron in that email, I will send you my availability. You don't need to fucking give me reasons. You don't need to like politely ask for it. All you got to do is to say, "Hey, Michael, can we meet? Can we initial consultation, right? 2-3 hours, complimentary, right? I don't charge for them, right?" So he sent me a simple email. "Hi, Michael." And only when I met him, I saw this baby face. I was like, "How old are you?" That was my first question, right? And he goes, "I just turned 17." And I said, "I'll be damned." Because I remember what I was doing when I was his age. To summarize it, it was mainly based around two things: chasing girls and experimenting with drugs. Anyway, he became a client, and then there is this exam. I didn't know it existed. It's called ACT. It's the exam you have to go through in order to get to the Ivy League school in the US, and he's in a private school in Britain at the moment. He came to me because he wanted to get to Harvard, and he was self-aware enough at fucking 17. He was self-aware enough, he was smart enough to recognize that unless he makes some changes in his lifestyle, he will never get to Harvard. He will never get that ACT score that will be high enough to get to Ivy League school. So sure enough, long story short, we very quickly made necessary changes. And then in December, he sent me a WhatsApp and he said, out of 1.9 million people who took that exam, and he took that exam a few times prior, but he would always fail. Yeah, I think it was his third attempt, but the first one since we started coaching. And not only he reached that threshold that was needed, he got the highest score in the world. Out of 1.9 million people who took that exam, his score was in top 400 people, right? So I haven't been great when it comes to maths at school, but even I could make that fucking calculation using calculator. That put him at 0.01% top
Wow.
scores, right? So now he can go to fucking any Ivy League he wants, Ivy League school he wants, because he fucking nailed that exam, right? But this is a combination of, and I often talk about how it's not just about a coach who knows what they're doing, but my coaching will still never be better than the quality, if you will, of my clients, right? Like, there's a direct proportion between how good my coaching can be, or how good results my clients can get out of coaching with me, and what they can bring to the table in terms of the fucking mindset, in terms of the work ethic, in terms of the motivation, right? I say to people, listen, the times of me fucking helping lazy people to become hardworking are long gone. The times of me fucking helping people lacking motivation to become motivated are long gone. You have to fucking come to me with the right work ethic. You have to fucking come to me motivated. You have to come to me with a fucking winner mindset. And when you bring those fucking ingredients to the table, right? So I would use this fucking, Gordon Ramsay analogy. Yes, you can be a top fucking chef and you can have state of the art fucking kitchen, oven, and fucking the sharpest fucking Japanese knives. But if someone asks you to prepare an amazing dish out of shitty ingredients, it's not going to happen, right? So the quality of my clients are the ingredients. I'm the fucking chef. When you combine the chef who knows how to fucking cook with incredible fresh ingredients, that's, and only then you can create a spectacular dish.
Love that. I love the analogy. It's perfect. It's perfectly applicable also to what we do with businesses, right? You work with people, we work with businesses, the same thing. A lot of times when you get to sit down with a business that is making money, and by all KPIs or whatever indication that it's a business, it's got revenue, profit, it may even turn multi-million in revenue. But when you look inside and when you realize that, you start asking yourself questions: how did they get there? Because it's absolutely, it's trash. It's a shit show. And there was actually somebody else who told me an interesting observation as well. He's a multi-exited entrepreneur, exited for 30 mil plus, multiple businesses. I said, Roman, like there are a lot of bunch of businesses founders who can get from 0 to 1, from 0 to 1 million without kind of not on a whim, but almost on a whim. But it is virtually impossible. There is no one who gets from 1 to 10 like that. This is where you have to be switched on. I get to see that there's only a small percentage of businesses who will go through this threshold. It is because mainly of the ingredients of what you said. So I love the analogy. And I was going to ask you also a question about the mindset and the clients that you've worked with so far, whether it's billionaires or high caliber. What is maybe one trait, or not just one trait, what's one pattern that you've observed that makes them quote unquote successful or unique in their own ways that maybe most people aren't aware of, or maybe most people need to become aware of to make that transition?
Sure. Let me start by giving you a little list of, it's not a full list, just a few items, few things that don't matter, that many people think that do matter. So things that don't matter, in my experience, are things like traditional education, right? I'm a great example myself. I quit school at 17. I have never done any other course of any kind, let alone never gone back to school of any kind, right? But not even courses, certificates, anything like that. And I still managed to like make it in my field, right? So that's like one example in front of you. And I could give you countless examples of my highly successful clients in their respective fields who have quit school. We can look at fucking Richard Branson, that everybody knows, quit school at 16. Alan Sugar quit school at either 15 or 16, right? We don't need to look very far for, right? So mind you that I said traditional education, I didn't say education, right? So I quit school at 17, but I have never stopped learning. I learn to this day. Every day I fucking learn something new. Every fucking day, right? And not just from people smarter than me. I can learn something from my fucking housekeeper. I have learned from like people like housekeepers because like, oh, that's interesting. That's how she sees it. Okay, that's I've just learned something there, right? So it's not like, oh, you have to be surrounded by the smartest people smarter than you to like. You can learn something from fucking anyone and from anywhere if you are just open-minded enough, if you're open to learn, if you're curious, right? And if you're not so fucking full of yourself that you think that unless this person has a fucking PhD from Oxford, I'm not gonna listen to them, right? That's when the confidence becomes arrogance. That's real arrogance. That's a real arrogance or ignorance, whatever we call it, right? So it's certainly not about traditional education. It's certainly not about the background. It's like the most idiotic thing I've heard recently was, I can't remember his name, Gary Stevenson. Like he had the debate.
Yeah. I've watched that one. Yeah.
To my understanding, he became well known or he went viral on the back of the video that he created when he said that unless you have a rich father, you will never be successful. And I'm like, hold on a minute. And again, starting with myself, my father's not successful and he will never be successful because he's a bit lazy. I love my father, but he's a bit lazy. I got the work ethic from my mother's side, not from my father. I'm one example. So like, I'm already just my very success disproves your theory. If I remember correctly, you don't come from fucking money either, right? Like you
No,
don't have a
not at
rich,
all. Not at
you
all.
don't have a rich daddy who said, "Hey, listen, which part of London would you like me to buy you your fucking apartment in so you can move there and live like a fucking, and you're gonna have a maid to make your fucking bed every morning, right? You still fucking made it somehow. Fucking,
Yeah.
how would you explain this, Gary? Like, there's two of us, right? Like the 100% people on this call go against of what you just said in that fucking video, right? And then I could give you a whole fucking list of people I've worked with, as well as people like, again, Alan Sugar came from just fucking council estate, I think.
Yeah. From London, somewhere like London Council State.
Yeah. Like that's fucking nonsense. But I at the same time, I understand why so many people would like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's okay. So now I can use that as an excuse, right?
Mm.
Because this guy Gary and I'm like a 20-year-old loser, like, oh yeah, fuck the system. Yeah, the system is skewed against me, and this Gary guy said in a very confident manner, with so much conviction. So yes, that's why I'm not successful, and I will never be successful because I wasn't born to a rich family, right? It's fucking nonsense, right? Like it's ridiculous, right? Anyway, so coming back to what I was saying, it's not about education, traditional education. It's not about the background. It's certainly not about gender, skin color. Like this is like, but it's easier for men or it's easier for you because you are white. Like, come on. For every fucking theory like that, I can give you 10 or 100 examples of people who look exactly like you who have
Mm.
made it. I had a client completely blind. I've worked with him for 2 years and 3 months to be exact. This guy would get so much done in between the sessions, I was like, fuck, I gotta step up my game. And I would say to him that he was making fun of his blindness. When I picked up on this vibe, like I could speak to him like that without like knowing that I don't insult him, because he would start those jokes. So I was just like, Richard, I can't fucking let the blind guy to fucking outwork me. It doesn't fucking make sense. Like, what's my fucking excuse? That I woke up and I have a little bit of a fucking sore throat and I have to cancel my meetings because I didn't get my fucking 8 hours of beauty sleep. And in the meantime, my fucking blind guy is kicking fucking ass. And the fact that he was as productive as he was and still is, that's crazy, right? But that's like still okay, yeah, fair enough. Just like, I kid you not, and I consider myself as a really, really happy person, right? I'm happy. Like, I've built a happy life for myself, right? He's happier than me. He's the happiest fucking person I know. For 2 years and 3 months, I haven't heard a single fucking complaint. I complain more than this guy. And I'm a life coach who doesn't complain, like I say I don't complain, He never, always happy, always positive. Sometimes I would sit there and think, how does he do that, right? And to this day, I mean, again, like, was one of those people that I couldn't believe that I got to spend time with him and I was getting paid for it, because I had so much fucking fun working with him, And like this one time, I messaged him and he got back after a few days, and he said something like, Michael, sorry, I didn't see your message. And I said something like, Richard, sometimes I feel like I'm dealing with a blind person or something. So we would have this fucking banter. 2 years and 3 months of that banter, like, and we still have that banter every now and again. It's like he's just not a client, because like we after 2 years and 3 months, like we've exhausted all the like he got everything he needed out of me, and we just stayed in touch, But to this day, when I catch myself, I know I've completely digressed from the fucking original question, but I know what the question is. I'll come back to it shortly. To this day, when I catch myself like feeling sorry for myself because fucking, I don't know, somebody said yes to working with me, I send them everything and now they're ghosting me, or like, I meant to see this girl tonight and she cancelled on me, or poor little me. I would say to myself, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck. I coach myself, right? Like, shut the fuck up. You think about Richard, a blind client who doesn't complain about shit, and you moaning about something. So now, that's not to say that just because we are not blind and we have some money, it means that we have no right to complain. We all have a fucking right to complain, right? I'm just putting it out there, right? But that's not to say that when I catch myself being too moany about shit, I'm going to allow myself to continue being moany, right? And I would use someone like Richard, like my client, to be like, fucking out. That's just to check myself in, to be like, listen, just fucking chill. Shit happens, just deal with it. Don't be a fucking puss about it. Just fucking get on with it. Like, shit happens to everybody, right? So it's not about education. It's not about background. It is about intelligence, but only to an extent. So like, you don't need to be fucking super smart. I'm just above average smart IQ wise. Like, I know that. Like, I know that for a fact, right? Like, I know I'm not stupid, but I know how I felt at fucking physics classes or chemistry classes or maths classes in high school. Those fucking teachers would teach it in Chinese and I would understand just as much. Like,
Same.
yeah, it was just like, no exaggeration. I was like, fuck, I'm dumb, right? But at the same time, I knew I wasn't dumb, right? So it's like, go easy on yourself. You can't be smart in every area, right? Like for me, like I know I'm okay IQ wise. I'm definitely above average EQ wise, so emotional intelligence wise. I know I'm very good with people, and I know that I'm exceptionally smart or intelligent when it comes to so-called life intelligence, which is what my clients fucking need from me. I had a client who went to fucking Eton, and for those of you who don't know what Eton is, that's like a top private school, boarding school for boys, right? So not only he graduated from Eton, but he also then went to Oxford and graduated from Oxford. One of my other former clients, he was a NASA engineer. I've worked with a bunch of lawyers. I work with a billionaire right now. All of those people are not just smarter than me academically, they are considerably smarter than me. It doesn't matter, because they didn't come to me for fucking maths tutorial. They came to me because they believed I know something they don't know. And that thing that I know that they didn't know was to do with life, not to do with maths or physics or chemistry, right? So it's not about being good at everything. It's about being good at one or two things and fucking taking the most out of it. And then guess what? Over time, you get so fucking good at those things that you have committed yourself to, you'll be able, which is what I've done, you'll be able to outsource all the shit you're not so good at or you really don't like doing to other people, because you're going to be able to just pay other people to do that shit for you, right? Could I do my books as in my like tax returns by myself? Probably. But like I would absolutely fucking hate the process, right? Yeah, because it's just numbers and spreadsheets. It's just not my fucking language. It's not my world. But I can afford to pay my accountant to do it, and he probably feels about it the way I feel about talking to people.
There are not enough people among entrepreneurs, I feel, who don't share that mindset. Like they want to do everything themselves as long as possible, as long as it's to the point where it's impossible to do. And I feel like that sort of a mentality comes from, I don't know, maybe that Silicon Valley tech world when you like you there's a hustle bro mentality. Maybe, you know, at the very beginning, obviously you need to do everything, but there is a point where if you try to do everything, if you try to do your accounting, it's like we work with entrepreneurs and they run £1 million businesses, and I see them doing accounting. Like you've got the money to pay someone, it's fine. You know, you're not gonna run yourself into the wall. This weird perception of how to manage a mismanagement of your time and energy. It's like not being respectful to your zone of genius in a way. So yeah.
I heard this analogy like, no matter how fast you are as a runner, the person on the shittiest, cheapest fucking bike will be faster than you.
Yeah.
I see coaching, I see what you do. We provide people with bicycles. So listen, you are a great fucking runner. Quite literally, all the great runners have coaches so they can run even faster. And then, yes, when you start, usually you don't have the money, but even if you do have the money, I think it's actually better when you don't, because that forces you to learn the basics by yourself, like I had to. So now, when I talk to my fucking tech guy, when I talk to my SEO guy, when I talk to my Google Ads guy, there's fucking no way that they could fucking bullshit me, because yes, they're the experts in the things that they do, but I know enough to tell the difference between bullshit and something that makes sense. Because before I could afford to hire them, I was managing those things by myself because I just didn't have the resources to, even like with my website, I'm not a techie person, far from it. The first version of my website, and I'm sure that's the one you saw when, all those years ago, was still like my own design. It's not because I was like, I can't trust anyone with this piece of art. I need to create it myself. No, I did it myself because I couldn't afford to pay the web designer. So a friend taught me how to use WordPress. This is long before ChatGPT, obviously. And somehow I built this super simple website, right? So actually it was useful that I had to learn how to run Google Ads by myself, because I couldn't afford to outsource it yet. I had to learn about branding. I had to learn like how to write long before I could afford to have writing coaches and all of that, right? And now looking back, that was very useful. But coming back to our list, so, I've mentioned a few things that you certainly don't need to worry about when it comes to becoming successful. And then what are the things? So your original question was obviously about the things which the successful people I've worked with have in common. And there's a bunch of things, obviously not just one or two. And in no particular order, the work ethic is always there. I have never ever met a successful person in any field. None of those people have worked. Now they do, the really successful ones, like my billionaire client. He doesn't work 60-hour weeks, 80-hour weeks, right? Because he doesn't have to. He has a fucking infrastructure in place. I don't fucking work. So client facing work, it's no more than 20 hours per week. But in my mind, I work all the time. From the minute I wake up to the moment, that's always been the case, because I'm just obsessed with it, because I love it, but not because I have to. It's just because it's my favorite way of spending time, is to either talk to my clients, talk to my prospective clients, think about my clients, think about my prospective clients, perfecting my already perfect website, perfecting my already perfect fucking LinkedIn it's just like, it's
It's an obsession. It's what
my
you.
passion, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, so you could say like, oh my god, this guy works so much, but it's like, but it doesn't feel like work. So so work ethic number one: doing something that they really enjoy doing. Because yes, you could make some money doing something you don't like doing, but you'll never make a ton of money doing something unless you love it, because you can only make a lot of money or build massive success over a long period of time. And if you don't love what you do, you won't be able to sustain all the things that you need to do in order to get to that point, right? You're just gonna give up before the success happens, unless you love what you do. And when you love what you do, then it doesn't feel like work, and you don't mind how long it takes. Right? Like it's never been like, I need to hit this goal by this time, and I need to become the best coach in the UK, highest paid, whatever, by this. And then there was never like a timeline. It was like, I'm just gonna try to be better today than I was yesterday, and I'm just gonna do it every day. And the next thing I know, within 4 years, I was the highest paid life coach in the country. right? Not because I set a goal to get there in 4 years. Like I told you, my initial goal is to fucking survive. And the goal was to become the best coach I could be, not to become the highest paid coach. It's just like one follow the other. So work ethic, loving what you do. The most successful people in their respective fields don't just love what they do, they are obsessed. Right? So there's passion, liking. Oh, I really like it. I'm passionate about it. That's a minimum. That's like an entry level. But what I find with my most successful clients in their fields, they are obsessed. They're just like
Mm.
they might have wives. Most of them have families, kids, etc. And obviously, they love their families and kids. It's just they can't help it, right? It's like me, except that in my case, nobody suffers because I don't have a family, right? Like by choice, nobody gets to suffer because of that, right? Like when I used to have quote unquote normal girlfriends, proper girlfriends that I lived with, yes, the number one complaint wasn't the fact that I wasn't making enough money or I wasn't like loving them enough or that I was not nice to them. That wasn't the case. The number one complaint, and that's totally fair, was that I was working too much. And even when I was with them, they could fucking tell that my mind was elsewhere. And that's a completely fair comment, And partially on those bases, 8 years ago, I decided not to enter another regular relationship. Like, why would I do that to another person? Like it wasn't their fault. I had fucking wonderful, wonderful fucking girlfriends, 5 of them in total, from the age of 16 to the age of 34. Fucking amazing, amazing. And I left every single one of them. Not because there was something lacking there was something missing there. It was me. I'm just not made for monogamy. That's a different story. That's for another fucking
Mm.
time, maybe. But like but like I'm a workaholic, So it's like workaholics don't make the best fucking partners. Let's face it. Unless you are in a relationship with another workaholic, then kind of it works. Like of course you do, Alex and Layla Hermosi.
Which is my case as well.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So an example closer to home. But most people would know about Alex and Layla Hermosi. Like I don't think they fucking bust each other's balls over working so much because they both seem to
Mm.
be fucking
Exactly.
you know. So it's either that or you have a partner who's so chill and they have so many friends and interests that but like my girlfriends didn't have so many friends and interests. They just wanted, and I totally understand it from their perspective, they wanted for me to not necessarily even work less, but to be more present with them, right? So, this is like with girlfriends. Now imagine me having children. I shouldn't have children. I should be legally not allowed to have children because I don't think I would make a great father, right? Because I see not in some weird like patronizing way. Like I see my clients as my children. I don't care if they're fucking 17
Do you think you could become better at it if, hypothetically speaking, you had a family or kids, or is it more like, that it's a trait, it's like a character flaw almost?
I see it as a preference,
Mm.
as a characteristic that I've recognized long time ago, and I've just accepted that as that's just me being me, right? I've been resisting my beloved mother's pressure all these years. A Polish mother and her son is 42, single, no kids. It's like just about anyone at 42 would have a kid or two. Like it's normal, and I understand that. Like I couldn't be happier for my clients when they get, especially the first child. It's not like, oh, I'm not anti-children. I have no problem with children. Right? I just don't want them. You ask me tomorrow, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and be like, and knowing myself, like I like to do things properly. So if I was to go from no children to children, I'll probably have 5, not just 1 or 2, right? Because like whatever I do, I like to do it properly, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be like, okay, this is not just my new girlfriend. I'm gonna turn this into the best fucking relationship in the world, right? I'm gonna make her the happiest fucking woman in the world, right? And we're gonna produce the best fucking children. I'm gonna fucking train them.
Lovely.
Like, they're gonna be able to walk through the walls. If you want to have children, have children. If you don't have children, don't let your fucking parents to fucking have children because they want you to have children. This is particularly important message for all the Asians listening to it. I've worked with a lot of Indian and British Indian, but like, it's sad for me to watch. Like I would have a client who was British Indian, 40, being single, and she felt like a failure because like there was so much family and community pressure, and she was such a wonderful human being. Like, guys, come on, like you gotta fucking get on with the program, you guys in Asia, when it comes to things like that. Let people fucking do them. Like let them fucking figure out for themselves what's good for them. I know like it's such a generalization. I'm not saying all Asians are like that. Like Certainly my Asian clients don't think like that. They're like modern Asians, if you will, right? But as you know, like the Asian culture in particular is known for like, family and kids, and unless you have it, you are a failure. It's like, good luck convincing me that I'm a failure because I'm single and child free
Yeah.
at 42. Like, good luck. Right? You're gonna fucking need it.
Their culture is very interesting. As I totally agree. It's like having. I mean, East European culture is somewhat, I guess.
Yeah. It's not far out from the Asian one, for sure.
My mom is also kind of reminding me of time.
Reminding you. That's nice. That's elegantly put. Yeah. Right. Romans, just a little reminder. How old are you again? I am waiting.
Yeah.
I used a coaching a coaching question on my mother a few years ago. Yeah, but like, all you talk, I talk to she's the closest person in my life. Like, she's my girl, like I would fucking kill. I'm a pacifist, but I would kill for my mother. I would go to prison for my mother. So a few years, my mother's like, again, oh yeah, but like, I'm super happy for you. Like, the business is going so well. And thank you for all the support that you give us, like financial support, whatever. But, like you date a lot, because she knows that I date a lot, but like, but like, when are you gonna like settle down, or like
It's just trying to
find
find a
like
door. Door.
yeah 100%, 100%, right? She's like, she's trying, and I said, and that's when I used that fucking coaching question. I said, Mom, let me ask you something. What's more important for you, for me to be happy or for me to be in a regular relationship? And of course she said, for me to be happy. I knew that she's gonna say that, right? Like, she walked right into it was a setup, right? It was an ambush, right? So like, what else would she say? Like, yeah, of course I want you to be happy. Mom, I am happy partially because I'm single. Get it to your old I didn't say fucking, but get it to your old fucking Polish head. It's one of the reasons why I'm so happy. I don't need to feel guilty for not giving my fucking sweetheart girlfriend enough time, the time that she deserves. I tease my mother. I say, listen, you never know. I might have a child when I'm 60. And she's like, don't even say that. You're going to go to school and people will think that you are a grandfather. And I was like, Mom, since when did I give a fuck about what people think of me? You really think I'm going to be like, shit, I'm the oldest father here? Like, I don't give a fuck. Anyway, so coming back to the list, we're talking about work ethic. We were talking about loving what we do, right? Ideally being obsessed with it. You mentioned something, and that's using leverage, right? It's like, to me, like coaching or consulting, that's the leverage. This is it's only as much you can do yourself. You want to build a fucking team, right? Like, no success of any significance has ever been built, when you think about it, by a single person, right? There's always a team of people. Yes, you are like, Steve Jobs was the fucking head of Apple, but Steve Jobs would say it himself. I don't need to fucking make assumptions. He would say it himself that Apple became what it became because of all the smart people that I managed to convince to fucking work for me, right? Like, he was known for being exceptional at hiring, for being exceptional at building amazing teams of people, right? And there's a great quote from him. You don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. You hire smart people for them to tell you what to do. So currently, I have two advisors. We have a group on WhatsApp called the board, right? They're my quote unquote board of directors. The actual directors, I'm a one-man band. I'm a fucking life coach, right? Like, you will never see me saying on LinkedIn, Michael Serwa, the CEO of Michael Serwa Limited. It's like, don't you do fucking one-to-one coaching, motherfucker? Like, it's like, come on.
Oh, funny enough that you've noticed that. Absolutely, there's so many of them.
I
CEO,
know, I
CEO
know.
of me.
Yeah, CEO of me. What's your turnover? 20K. Okay, go fuck yourself. Anyway, so I have those two guys, one male, one female, which is perfect. That wasn't planned, but it just happened that one is a male, one is a female. They're both 29, so significantly younger than me. They're both former clients, which is very fucking useful because I got to know them on an intimate level before they started working for me. They're both academically smarter than me, which is fucking brilliant. I wouldn't even think about making any, not just significant, any even semi important decision within my business without running it by them first.
Mm.
I can get fucking excited, like, guys, I have this idea. I'm gonna add this fucking paragraph to my website, right? And I'm like, fucking hell, this is fucking amazing. I present it to them, and if they both say no, and I told them they are both on the no bullshit side themselves. Like, they are not yes people. I don't want to work with yes people, but it's clients or people, especially people who work for me. I want them to fucking tell me when I'm being stupid, not for fucking them to tell me what I want to hear. That's, I literally said to them, speaking of no bullshit, I literally said to them, guys, if you were to tell me what I want to hear, what you think, and they are smart enough, they both are smart enough to know what I want to hear at any given point, right? The moment you would just tell me what I want to hear or agree with me on everything, you would become worthless to me. Having advisors who tell you what you want to hear, what's the fucking use of those advisors? I can have, no matter what idea, like how passionate I feel about this idea, if both of them say no, okay. So yeah, the most successful people really recognize the importance of being surrounded by smart people. And if you can surround yourself with people smarter than you are, which is what Steve Jobs did, which is what I did. And sure enough, same with my clients. Most of them are smarter than me academically. Most of them have higher education than me, which is not that hard given that I quit school at 17, right? So I get to spend time with them. So yes, I'm coaching them on life. I have more quote unquote life intelligence than them. That's why I can add value to their lives. Right. But they have more of other things that I don't have. So I'm surrounded by those people, by my clients on a daily basis. I'm surrounded by my team. And I have this, it's a well-known like saying that, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? But like I really take this one seriously, right? I do not want to be the smartest person in any fucking room. I want to be the dumbest fucking motherfucker in any room I'm in. I want to be the poorest motherfucker in every room I'm in. Because that's what inspires me, right? I don't see any value. Like, yes, when I first started, when I just became successful, I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely good for my ego. It was such an ego boost. Like, oh wow, this guy, like I would go to personal development events and other coaches especially would recognize me and fucking taking selfies with me and like was just like so I went through this phase when this was like cool, but after a while I
You
can.
recognize what's important there.
And I was like, and after a while, it's like you just get so used to it. You're just like, I don't know. I want to be like, yeah, put me in front of a billionaire and let me fucking help him while I'm learning from him and fucking getting paid for it. It's like, what the hell is going on here? It's not like he's like, Michael, this is how you do things. Like, I'm just learning by watching, by listening to what he's saying, how he builds sentences, how he thinks. It's not valuable because I want to become a billionaire myself. I don't. That's not my fucking goal. But it's very interesting, right? Because those people think differently, right? Which leads me to the next point, which is successful people think differently. They have a different mindset. It starts by being a glass half full type person. I'm sure there are exceptions. I haven't met one yet. For a highly successful person to be a glass half empty type person, for a highly successful person to be a pessimist, for the highly successful person to always expect for the worst to happen. I'm sure that those exceptions exist, right? I just haven't met one. It's critical to have that positive outlook, positive attitude to the point of delusion, right? Like you want to be almost delusional when you think about what's possible. I'm sure there were at least some people when I told them, like, listen, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to become the best life coach in the country, after which in a few decades, I will become the best coach in the world. I'm sure at least some people thought that I'm fucking smoking something. And I wouldn't blame them, right? Especially that I was a kid, I was young, I was like late 20s, and I've always been on a cocky side. So probably the way I said it as well was kind of like, look at this guy, right? But Romans, I believed 100% in my heart, in every fucking cell of my body, that that's what's going to happen. It wasn't a question of if, it was only a question of when. What I'm talking about is about having that
Conviction, yeah, there's a level of
conviction, right? Conviction that, like conviction combined with understanding. So that's the healthy mix. Conviction that you're going to make it one way or another, sooner or later. Conviction that you're going to make it while simultaneously recognizing that the path to success is bumpy as fuck, right? Because not thinking so would be naive. It's never a straight line, right? We've learned that, right? It's never a fucking straight line. It's a fucking, right? It's up and down, up and down. One step forward, two step backwards. Two step forward, five step backwards. And you're like, shit. Like, and throughout my career, I'm gonna be posting about it on LinkedIn, whining about it, but it hasn't been a straight line. It hasn't been like every month I'm killing it. I've never had to fucking call a tax man and ask them if I can break my fucking tax bill into installments because I've overspent over here, I've overinvested over here.
The challenge is that you gotta be emotionally resilient, because that bumpiness, right? Initially when you start out, you're very sensitive to it. So like you kind of put your identity on the table, and whatever happens to the business happens to you.
Yeah,
And therefore like you kind of crumble down a little bit. But like with the time you learn that, hey, this is the way. Like
yeah,
you cannot be emotional about it. Like you can learn to be. I remember myself used to be very how many businesses I started that just flopped, and then I had this recovery period. I thought that was going to be it. Like, man, well, I don't know what's next, and then I just needed to wait it out to
yeah,
start another thing.
yeah, yeah.
And then with the time, obviously, yeah. But it's
You got eventually, right? You use the word resilience. It's definitely the word I could add to the list, right?
yeah,
Like you beat me to it. It's like having that resilience. I believe it's easier to stay persistent and be resilient and all of that if you know from the start that there's gonna be bumps on the road. Because then when they happen, you're like, oh yeah, I knew that. It's just a matter of time. Like I was expecting it. Now, is coaching a requirement to be successful? Of course not. I'm not gonna be like, of course you can get there by yourself. Did Henry Ford had a fucking life coach or performance coach? There was no fucking coaching back then. Would he get to where he got to faster had he had a performance coach? Absolutely. For me, coaching is not something that you have to have if you want to be successful. No, you don't. You can become successful without a coach, but there's absolutely no way you will get to your goal or the goals that you have faster by yourself relative to how fast you could get there with a coach. I see coaching as the ultimate fucking hack, right? Use that as a shortcut to get to what you want faster. It's like I did my accent coaching right after moving here to this place 11 years ago. So I had this accent coach. I'm still in touch with her, a great woman called Tamara. She would come here every fucking day, Monday to Friday, for an hour for the first month. Not because my accent was particularly strong, because it wasn't, right? I didn't have one of those heavy Eastern European accents, right? But in my pursuit of becoming the best coach in the country and then in the world, I thought, would that be useful if I could pronounce my words better than I did without accent coaching? And the answer was clear. So that's what led me to work with her. And sure enough, within 6 months, she got my accent to where it is now. Of course, I still have an accent. I get it. And I actually told her specifically, listen, don't try to make me sound British. And I love British people. I just don't want to sound British because I don't want to sound pretentious. It's like, why is this Polish guy trying to sound British all of a sudden and be like, I beg your pardon? So I basically said to her, I want you to do your job well, but don't do it too well. Like, don't overdo it, right?
Michael, I've got four rapid questions. So the first one is, what's your favorite book or philosophy, and why?
Favorite book is something that I listen to. I don't read books, I listen to the audio versions. Can't remember how I learned about Naval and this
Mm,
book, but I have it here. For those of you who are watching, I don't think that's the best fucking title because it's the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. It's someone who is the founder of a company called Angels List. It's just an extremely, extremely wise man in his mid 50s now, late 50s. And it's so interesting because he doesn't come from personal development background, yet he talks about personal development stuff better than anyone in personal development, including myself, right? Even though this is like my field, right? Because he came from a different background. He just has an exceptionally good way of articulating sometimes quite complicated concepts in very easy to understand way. So this is, apart from my own book, the number one book I've given the most copies to people over the years. But as Daniel Priestley would say, the most important book in your life is the one you write yourself. So for anyone listening, thinking about writing a book, I can tell you from personal experience, and as I said before, I didn't fucking enjoy the process of writing, but boy, was that helpful for my career.
And that was the first book that I've read when I arrived to London, which was 10 years ago.
There you go.
It was my introduction to, well, although I did read personal development books before that, for me, it was like my introduction to somebody that I know personally.
Right,
That
right,
book,
right,
like,
right,
that
right.
was very interesting. So hardest, I mean, here you can choose whether it's the hardest or the most interesting client challenge you've helped to solve.
That British Indian woman I mentioned before came to me at 40. That's a true story, like family pressure, community pressure. She's 40, she's single. She came to me for love life coaching as well as career coaching. So the idea was to not only find a partner, but also to change careers because she was unhappy in her career, right? We had 6 sessions together, which is the most common way in which I work with people. Within 6 months from us starting working together, she changed careers from the one that she wasn't happy in to the one she was happy. And then approximately 12 months from the time she came to me, there was a wedding. To this day, this remains the biggest highlight of my coaching career. She introduced me to her mother saying, "Mom, this is Michael, the reason we are here today."
Oh, wow.
I would just sit there with my drink, look at this room full of people thinking, wasn't even thinking, wow, I'm so fucking amazing. I was just at that time coaching for maybe 3 years. Like I was doing okay. I was okay coach. I wasn't nowhere near the kind of coach I am today because I didn't have the experience yet or enough experience yet, right? So I was thinking how amazing coaching is. And it wasn't just about looking at my client who was just so in love with this guy. It was just so beautiful to watch, right? It was it wasn't just like, oh, I found this guy. Yeah, he will do. Let's get married. No. Like I walked into the room with my plus one, whatever, and you just see those two people completely in love with each other. As if all those people didn't exist. I would just sit there throughout this wedding with a fucking drink in my hand, just looking at this room of people thinking, wow, 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 wow. This vehicle called coaching is responsible for this. Had she not come to me, had she not made that investment, which was she had a good job, but I was already quite pricey. It was a big financial investment for her. This is to this day, like I said, the biggest highlight of my coaching career. But we could spend another 2 hours talking about a client success stories and the type of things people come to me with and the type of transformations that would occur on the back of me working with the people I work with. The transformation doesn't always occur, right? Sometimes it's just an improvement, which to me is almost it feels like a failure. I've just helped someone to improve their life. It's like, what? 10 years ago, that was fine. Now, my standard is higher than that. Transformation is the goal. The radical transformation is the goal. Transformation is like, okay, we did well. You got to be realistic as well. You can't, in any line of work, to expect that the end product will be a 10 out of 10 each time. It's just unrealistic. I don't care who you are.
The most expensive decision you've ever made could be anything financially expensive or time, energy.
Moving to this place. So you mentioned my place. If you were impressed by this place back then, you would probably be even more impressed now because I have invested. When you came here, there was still IKEA furniture, which I brought from my previous place.
It was very minimalistic at the time as well.
Yeah, it was minimalistic then, and it's even more minimalistic now. It's the same setup, like the walls are where they were, but like all the furniture have been replaced, and it's like it was a very expensive decision because I've made this decision to move to Mayfair after making 95k, not profit, turnover, the year before, and the rent, it's a rental, right? It's like I've never owned a property and I have no intention of ever owning a property. Anyway, so when I first moved in here 11 years ago, the rent was 40k, 40. And the year before, so this is beginning of 2014, and in 2013 I have turned over 95k, and I would have business expenses like advertising and shit, And my accountant, I said, Indy, so I'm giving myself 6 months to find the perfect place in Mayfair. And he was like, because he knew how much money I was making, right? So he was like, is like, what's wrong with, like, is this guy like right? Like, what's wrong with those Polish guys, Because I said, listen, this place is going to be this much, 725 per week, so, 40k a year, whatever. The previous year, I've made 95k turnover, right? And he said, Michael, you do realize that you can't afford to live in Mayfair. And I remember I said to him, I said, India, you are absolutely right. Based on the numbers from last year, I can't afford to live here. However, I have absolutely no plans of ever making only 95k again. And sure enough, I never have. So it was an expensive decision in a sense that technically I couldn't afford to move in here. But I had this conviction, I had this believe that this place would pay for itself because by then I already knew a thing or two about the power of positioning. Who are you more likely to trust if you're looking for a coach based in Mayfair or a coach based in Shoreditch? No disrespect to Shoreditch. It's the positioning, right? And of course, it helps that I actually know what I'm doing. And then if the coaching is shared, yeah, that's not great. But when you combine the two, so it's not one or the other, it's both. Something I always say to coaches is like, listen, how good of a coach you are, it's nowhere near enough. Right? It's positioning, right? So yes, I wanted to live in Mayfair. It's not like, oh, what a sacrifice this is because I always wanted to live in Shoreditch. No, I didn't want to fucking live in Shoreditch. I wanted to live in Mayfair, but I also saw that as a strategic or tactical move. And boy, I was right.
Final thoughts. If someone listening to this knows, they're aware that they're playing below their level, whether it's business, lifestyle, relationships, anything, any area of their life, what would you say to them?
Get a coach. It's the number one advice, is the only way I've ever answered questions like this. And just to be clear, when I say get a coach, I don't say get me as your coach. No matter what it is that you struggle with at the moment, and we all struggle with shit, there is someone out there whose fucking day job, whether it's an individual or a company like yours, there is someone out there whose fucking day job is to help people like you with the problem that you have. Why not use them? Don't try to fucking be the guy who says, the person who says, I'm smart enough to do it myself. It's a rookie mistake. That's not how you get to the top, by trying to solve all your problems yourself. When you have a fucking toothache, what do? Do you go on YouTube, you ask ChatGPT to help you with it, or you fucking go to a dentist? So that's normalized, right? Like, we know that when there's a toothache, there's probably, we go to a dentist, right? But when it comes to coaching, consulting, it's like, oh, but like,
Another example of leverage.
yeah, leverage, which is one of my fucking favorite concepts in the world. And also, like, be fucking smarter. Like, on the back of your very kind post on LinkedIn, I knew I fucking predicted that, even though, as we established, I'm not that smart. I fucking knew that I'm gonna get messages from people trying to have the coffee with me,
Ah,
right?
there you go.
And sure enough, I don't want to say I was bombarded with messages, because I got a few of those, but I knew I'm going to get some, and I did. And I was saying, I was agreeing to those coffees back in the day, but that's like 10 years ago. Like, I don't do that anymore. So on one hand, for me, it's like a bit like, seriously, but on the other hand, it's like, I'm the first one who says to my fucking clients, be an asker. Just ask. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. I'm the one who's saying that to people. It's like, he fucking did that. He fucking asked.
Michael, it's been a pleasure. It's been also the longest conversation that I've ever had, but a very insightful one. A mini masterclass for me. Did a lot of things that I remembered from obviously the time that we spent together back in the day when I was your mentee, and which definitely made a, what's it called, a dent in how I see the world. But also right now, I think it's been a great refresh and a reminder on some of the things that I think about on a daily basis. So very much enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did. And yeah, it's one of those things that it's not like I can talk for hours about just about anything now, because I have little interest in most things, but things like that, I mean, for me, 1 hour goes like this.
Mm.
I, I could talk to you for another 3 hours. That's not what I'm suggesting, because you'll be like, start to hate me soon. But I feel like, okay, now that we are warmed up,
We can go into other branches,
so
right?
now that we got the foreplay out of the way, can we just fucking get down to business? Like, I'm fucking ready. But Romans, thank you for having me. Thank you for that kind post you've made the other day on LinkedIn. Made my day. Thank you for all the friendship that we've had over those years, and I really enjoyed it. And once you recover from this one, we can always do it again, like round two.
Round two, but mate, we could potentially do it in London in person.
Anytime, anytime, anytime.
Awesome.